One business user proposed to add a new item in the ongoing iteration. What is the best thing to do in this situation? Option A, take an opinion from the project team. Option B, ask the user to wait for the iteration to finish. Option C, replace a planned backlog item with the new one. Option D, submit this as a change request to the change control board. So I let you choose and then we discuss. Okay, so we need to choose out of 4 only. That's the whole idea. Now, if someone has a new item, what they should do? The idea of working in the iterative iteration way of working is that we are open for change, but on iteration boundaries. We should not be disturbing once we get started inside the iteration. So it's like this, that whatever product backlog item we have picked up for an iteration in our iteration planning meeting, we should stick to them and finish that iteration with that particular goal. That seems to be the recommendation. Now, in a real world, you may have some exceptions, but exceptions are exception. And the question should show that there is a real exception. But if there is no exception, that's the rule, that you don't disturb your ongoing iteration. Now, so let's look at option now. Take an opinion from the project team. Now, project team is already working in their iteration plan. What is the need of discussing this issue with them? Now, this issue might get discussed with them when you really want to implement it, if there is an emergency and there is something like that. But if you have a clear mechanics of handling things, you know when the new items comes, they should go into a product backlog. And in the next iteration, we can review them. If that's a priority, we probably work on them. Yeah. So once we have that structure in place, there is no need of disturbing and creating further confusion. So option A is not needed. Option B, ask the user to wait for iteration to finish, is a good option. Probably we can have a better one, which can say that ask the user to add this item into the product backlog and discuss in a backlog refinement meeting. That could have been better one if it is available, but this seems to be okay option. We can say, okay, let's the iteration finish and then we'll see if you want to take this particular item, provided the other priorities are also matching. So we flag this option B. If we don't have anything good, we will come back to it. Option C, replace a planned backlog item with a new one. You don't do that. So see, the idea here is, it is not like somebody will say, oh, you have picked up 3 items. I have another 4th item. I can take one item out and I can insert the another one. Can you handle it in a 2 weeks time or in a given iteration time? Now, again, 2 weeks is not written here, but by default, we can assume 2 weeks as a duration of an iteration. So these all switching can derail your complete iteration planning because you might have worked on other items. And such kind of switching will also be a little counterproductive for the whole team. And if we keep doing these kind of a switching, we will have more recurring events like this, which will also like devalue the iteration planning meeting, which we are doing in the beginning of iteration. It will also give a negative feedback to our backlog refinement process. So if we have to handle these things in a well manner, we don't look for these kind of adjustment. Rather, we focus on, let's put it into a backlog. Let's discuss in a backlog refinement activity and figure it out. If it is an important thing, we better do it in the next iteration as an important thing. So option C is not a good idea when we are looking at this question. Submit this as a change request to a change control board doesn't seems to be also inappropriate, because in the agile world, we do expect lots of requirement related changes. And most of the cases, the requirement related changes will not go into a change control process. Rather, they will go into a backlog refinement process. So that's the appropriate place for the change to be get discussed. There could be a change management in the agile world as well. You can have some kind of changes which requires change control board intervention, and you can define it in your overall project management plan. But for requirements, you are not expected to go in a change control board. Backlog refinement is your change control board for that. Yeah, that's something how you can think of. So looking at the remaining, all the other available option, I think B is the one which probably can work. We can say the user to wait for the iteration to finish. The B is giving a hint, probably in the next iteration, we can pick it up. Yeah, but that's not necessarily always true because it also depends upon what other items are coming in. But making the stakeholder user wait for the iteration seems to be the best option out of the available one. So we go with option B, ask the user to wait for the iteration to finish.